orient ourselves to today. It is Teacher Appreciation Week. You are still a teacher. If you need to be told that today, you are a teacher and you are appreciated. And you are doing so much that nobody sees, just like a classroom teacher. Unfortunately, when we step away from the classroom, we don't have that ongoing feedback, the hugs from the little ones, the relationships we develop with families. That's still there. It's just not the same, right? So coaches set aside their own needs so often. They set aside their own celebration. They elevate teachers. And if you need to hear how much you elevate this profession, you're hearing it now. You are powerful. You are impactful. What you do and the choices you make a difference. It's hard to see it. It's hard to measure it because we don't have the little bodies in front of us 24/7, or at least 8/5. And it still has an incredible impact on those little bodies and those precious minds. If you need to hear that from the voice of Michigan teachers, there's a beautiful little video that was made from a region who had the capacity to make a video, and it was gifted to all Michigan literacy coaches. The teachers in it start by talking about why they became a teacher. And then they start to talk about what their early literacy coach has done for them. To the extreme of naming the impact of a coach, that they are still in the field, that they're still a teacher because of the support of an early literacy coach. Think about that. The work you're doing is helping retain the brilliant leaders and educators that we're celebrating this week. So there's a little video linked there. We shared it back in in October as just a link in the agenda for you to watch if you would want. I'm not going to show it right now. I wish we had the time. But please, sometime this week, if you need to hear your impact coach, then watch it. And when the new teacher with brown hair talks about the impact that Kevin has had on her work, insert your name and insert another face and look in her eyes and think about the eyes that you recently looked in when you listened carefully to a teacher, when you mediated that teacher's thinking, when you supported their decision-making, when you planned so deeply for a coaching conversation, all the things that aren't visible, but are absolutely elevating and impacting this field. Thank you, Coach, for what you do. So this time has been planned very intentionally for you today, and we hope that it hits the mark for you in many ways. We know that this agenda is organized with times, and then the far right column is usually the place where we link a lot of details. Just to orient ourselves, if you're in a room with many friends in the same physical space, then you will want to be on your laptop, but you don't have to connect your audio. And the directions are right up here, and that's the easiest way to avoid that feedback. But that will help us to assure that you can be using the polls. We're going to use a poll, that you can be using the chat and accessing things nimbly for yourself, even if the video and audio is being projected in the room where you're situated. We have closed captioning set up. Click on the electronic sign-in, please, and sign yourself in for today. We have an optional note-taking guide, same format as the other sessions this year, just structured based on our big sections of learning. And something if you want to make a copy and edit for yourself, or make a parallel 2-column note kind of thing in your own paper notebook. But what this allows, if you need it, is the ability to take notes on some things that might happen in our learning today that you say, "Ooh, I really want to talk with a colleague about that." Or we really have been working on something similar at the local level, and I want to chat about that either today in your team time or at another time. So it's something that you could use to track your own notes and your own thinking, but also questions you might have or connections you might want to bring up with your local team. So grateful to Annie Spear, Dr. Susan Lallier, and Dr. Laura Tortorelli for planning for us the modeling of a protocol we could use. Research is important to this network. Bringing research to teachers is important to this network. So we're going to participate in a way to bring research into any professional learning staff meeting, small group conversation, teacher coaching conversation in bite-sized ways that support us, because often we are like, here's the article we have or the study we have. How do we share this with teachers? Well, sometimes it's as simple as selecting the most powerful paragraph. And so we will do that with an article that actually is fresh and out by someone that we've learned from, Dr. Walpole, that's actually referencing Dr. Tortorelli's work. So thank you, Annie, for connecting all of those dots and for planning with our researchers around how to experience that for ourselves. We'll have a brief break. And again, every minute is planned today. So we're starting right up at 10 o'clock. And we're so excited that we'll be learning from the Diverse Tech Set project. And this really is the living out of so many of our coaching practices, our essential practices, and really listening to our own colleagues. As we know, a network is only as strong as how well it's led by itself. So there are coaching colleagues who've been doing deep work in coaching cycles with diverse tech sets, and we're excited to hear the rest of the story. We're really grateful to Diane, to Michelle Sweet, to Tracy Yax, to everyone involved in that project, and we're excited to hear the rest of the coaching cycle work going on there. So many connections to so many essentials and priorities we have. We do have Q&A time with Dr. Nelduke. Any precious time with her is valuable. She's bringing research to us. She's answering the questions that we've submitted, and we're excited for that. And then we hop right off to lunch, and we don't come back into this virtual space again, this big room, unless this happens to be where your pathway meets, because after lunch, we have team time where you're able to connect with your local team, either in person or virtually. Coaching coordinators, if you haven't been able to click on that link to the team time Zoom rooms and edit your row for your team, feel free to do that anytime before lunch, just so folks know where they're going. And then we have a break, and then our learning pathways. So thank you to everyone who gave feedback when we sent a Google form out to everyone asking for your feedback on the pathway structure this year. And that was so informative. If you still have feedback about that, check your email. I'll also just pop it in here a little bit later. We're still accepting that. But what we've learned is that differentiation, such a high priority. Adult choice, such a high priority. The forcing of like choice in August that then continues throughout the year isn't always commiserate with the moving nature of your goals throughout the year. So like the idea that you like committed in August and you're stuck, not stuck, but like you're in it, that is maybe not how it should go for every single way that we differentiate. So that is kind of on the table, but we will always provide these optional choices, this differentiation, and a lot of these sessions can come back into next year, but I think what we're leaning toward is not like getting married to one topic for the whole year, but still holding this differentiation time for choice, which you might make a different choice each session, or you might kind of stick with the same theme, but that would be up to you. So that's kind of where we're at after me checking in with all of the brilliant and appreciated pathway facilitators. Too many to name right now and not get us behind on the agenda, but pathway facilitators, thank you for your leadership this year and for your creativity. Such innovation to differentiate within the differentiation. We couldn't be more grateful for how you've led us. The feedback form and the sketch form will be linked here. Please complete that before you leave today. And that really helps us to know how we should move forward. Without further ado, I am going to lead us right into our next session. We are super excited to learn and experience something that we could all use tomorrow as far as a process, and also be reading an article that might be helpful. A quick piece that came out in something that we all have membership to, the International Literacy Association. And it's really a nice time to be able to do that. So